Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the session on Blue Bioeconomy organized by BBI JU, Bio-Based Industries Joint Undertaking. And the session is about discovering Atlantis and actually all the wonders of Blue Bioeconomy. We have distinguished guests with us and also very enthusiastic participants in this session. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who participated in the organization of this session, starting more than a year ago, from the BBI JU office to all the services across the Commission, the beneficiaries of the projects, and individuals. Some housekeeping rules before we start. Actually, all the participants are able to send questions through the chat box, but at the same time, we are going to have live discussions and also individual speeches. So please post these questions and we will group them together and ask them at specific time slots. At the same time, in specific parts during the presentation, we are going to have some Mentimeter questions where you can send your questions, your expressions, your thoughts about Blue Bioeconomy through online questionnaires as well, and have voting tools. Now, a big question actually is how and why we organize this session and why Blue Bioeconomy. You can see in this slide a good family picture taken from the Blue Bioeconomy Forum last year, last summer into 2019. And it was one of the first times that actually all the projects of BBI on Blue Bioeconomy came together. And we thought with such enthusiastic beneficiaries and such a huge potential of the sector, it's better to organize something even more greater and communicate it to the public. So if we take the abstract of the session, it says 50% of the oxygen we breathe comes from the ocean. And there are so many other things about the oceans that we still don't know. So why not our daily products coming from the ocean? And this is what Blue Bioeconomy does, essentially. It's valorizing all the aquatic biological resources from the oceans, from fresh water, the fisheries residues, shellfish, and of course, algae. We can provide through Blue Bioeconomy unique solutions. And this is not only for the sake of research and for saving the environment, but at the same time for boosting the economy. The Blue Bioeconomy is characterized as a new El Dorado, the next big thing. And actually, there are already, back then when we wrote the abstract in June 2019, more than 100 partners from 20 countries in the BBI JU projects and many more actually active in the sector. But of course, the sector faces big challenges, and this may come from the high cost of productions to finding the proper biomass producers, technical hurdles, of course, regulations, and little consumer awareness. But the important thing is also to realize that it's not even about the economy that is going to give that is going to take a boost through Blue Bioeconomy. What is important is to reach a sustainable future for us, for our kids, for the planet. And this is essential for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030 from United Nations. There cannot be solution about the climate, about a healthy and wealthy planet without considering the oceans. In the very end, we live on a blue planet. And for this reason, Blue Bioeconomy is a part of Bloeconomy and offers unique solutions to move forward. The European Union is actually taking firm steps from different points of view, from projects, from policies, and already back when we were preparing this session in 2019, there was a big push to produce a roadmap through the Blue Bioeconomy Forum in order to have the first framework for Blue Bioeconomy. And this actually has happened earlier in 2020, and this roadmap is available. So it's time to make the treasures of Blue Bioeconomy shine. Apart from that, when one looks at the picture that I'm projecting now, these projects are big supporters of Blue Bioeconomy. They have a unique enthusiasm, and we identified very good ways through this initiative to have synergies, clustering, common events, and achieve a higher impact overall. I may introduce you at this point very briefly the speakers. I will start with myself since I haven't been introduced yet. My name is Thomas Vizikas. Now I work at the Executive Agency for Small and Medium Enterprises of the European Commission and in the climate action part. But before that, and that's my strong connection with this session, I was working as a project officer and co-coordinator at Bio-Based Industries Joint Undertaking, and my portfolio was mainly focused on the Blue Bioeconomy. We have also with us Philippe Mengal, who's the Executive Director of BBI JU and has background in chemistry, in bioindustries, and also worked as an R&D engineer in the field of biomass fractionation and purification. Philippe overall now has worked as CEO in the past, and now as Executive Director collectively has 30 years of experience, and through his welcome speech will offer unique insights for the development of the sector and specifically for Blue Bioeconomy. With us also we will have Jean-Paul Cadoret, who has a master in oceanography and also a PhD in molecular biology. We know Jean-Paul from his participation in the first demonstration project of BBI JU, Spiral G, when he was at Green Sea. Recently, he moved at Algama, another French company, where he manages other European projects. He has been director of biotechnology labs at the largest research institute regarding sea matters in France, IFRAMER, and also became the president of the European Algae Biomass Association. Together with us also, we have Zoe Constantinou, who also has a research background with an MSc and PhD in integrated coastal and marine management. Now Zoe is a policy officer at the Directorate General of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries of the European Commission, DG Mare, and has worked in the past both in Greece and Portugal in European projects and has also academic background, of course. Last but not least speaker, we have Tiago Guerra, who's a molecular and cellular biologist with a PhD in algal biotechnologies. Now, Tiago is an executive officer at Algae for Future in Portugal and has participated in several BBI JU projects, Abacus, for example, and also is the coordinator of the latest demonstration project, Multistream. Including myself and all the speakers, we all come from research backgrounds, and you can see now from different places in our careers continue to support the blue growth. A short introduction of the session. I started already with the welcome and introduction. The floor now will be given to Philippe to present briefly BBI. And we will continue with the Blue portfolio projects and activities, what happened in BBI from myself. We have the recording of Jean-Paul, Zoe, Tiago, and we will finish with a roundtable discussion. In the meantime, also a colleague of ours, Luisa Masia, is online to help the moderation and receive all your questions in the chat box. So on this note, I will pass the floor to Philippe Megal. Thank you, Philippe. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. Always a great pleasure to share the floor with you, despite the fact that the floor is a bit virtual today. So thank you as well for other speakers for joining this session. So a few words about BBI JU, Bio-Based Industry Joint Undertaking. On the next slide, you will see that, yes, BBI JU is a public-private partnership between the European Commission and the bio-based industry. So the European Commission covers 3 DGs, the DG RTD, the mother DG of the initiative, the DG Agri, and the DG Grow. The private sector is represented by BIC, the Bio-Based Industry Consortium, which covers a very wide range of organization, large industry, small industry from all the sectors of the bio-based industry, but also a lot of universities and research center. It's important to point out, because that's true that BBI JU is an industry-driven initiative, but research organization and universities really play a key role there and represent overall 30% of the beneficiaries. So the BBI JU has a quite ambitious budget, 3.7 billion euro, where overall 25% comes from the Commission, and the remaining 75% is provided by the industry. So that's a very ambitious budget. I think it is the largest initiative for funding research and innovation in the field of bioeconomy. The objective of this initiative, via the support in research and innovation project, is to develop sustainable and competitive bio-based industry in Europe, and this based on advanced biorefineries that source their biomass sustainably. So every word is important there, but the reference document for this initiative is the CIRA. You see a copy of the cover page, bottom right on the screen. So this CIRA is a very important document. It is a strategic innovation and research agenda developed by the industry, so developed by the members of BIC and approved by the Commission. And that's important because it is the first step of the whole initiative. Second important thing is that it is a very dynamic document. And for the session today, it's important to point out that the first CIRA published in 2013, so the CIRA, which was the base of the first call, there was not a word about the blue bioeconomy in it. But immediately it appears that it was a pity, something was missing, and then it has been updated, and then the blue bioeconomy was one of the priority of the program. Later, you will see from Thomas a slide showing the evolution of the portfolio, and that's really the consequence of that. Also, the level of membership of BIC, we see today more and more companies from this wonderful world of the blue bioeconomy now joining BIC, and that's important because that's also where it starts, and that's where you can develop your network. So that's an ambitious budget, but also expected, huge expected impact. You can see on this slide that here it is the expected impact of the sector, not the expected impact of the project of the BBI. But it's huge because as compared to figures of 2014 at the beginning of the initiative, it is expected to reduce by 50% greenhouse gas emission and to increase biomass supply by 20% with 25% more mobilization of unused source. Overall, it is expected to replace 30% of fossil-based, oil-based products by bio-based, not necessarily bio-based equivalents, but replace with a new functionality, better functionality, and overall have in the market 10 times more bio-based product than what we have today. So that's about the impact. We could say a lot about it, but there are a lot of reports available on our website. But I think it's more important today to say, okay, where are we? We hear from stakeholders that overall BBI is recognized as a success, a high impact initiative in terms of structuration of the sector, in terms of socio-economic, environmental impact as well. But we are not there yet, and there are still a lot to be achieved. So we have initiated a lot of things, but I repeat, we are not there yet, in particular in terms of biodiversity protection, the safeguard of ecosystem, and contribution to climate mitigation. So future perspective, that's the purpose now of the few words I will add. We think that continuity is key, so continuity of the current BBI. As Thomas will say later, we are now closing our last call of the current BBI, so there is no more call for BBI. The rest will be for the successor of BBI. I will come back on it. What is important is that we learn the lessons of the current BBI. We keep everything which is working well, and we learn the lessons. So of course, aquatic feedstock will remain a key element of the program. Now, BIC is finalizing the third generation of SIRA, and clearly aquatic feedstock is still there. Another important element is that last year, a common vision of the Circular Biosociety 2050 was published. This vision described a sustainable and competitive bio-based industry in Europe, enabling a circular biosociety by 2050. So you see the word circular repeated several times. This vision was developed by BIC private partners and all their members, but in collaboration with 15 other organizations, so covering all the sectors of the bioeconomy. The perspective behind this vision has a name, and the name is CBE, Circular Bio-Based Europe, which is the possible successor of the BBI under the next framework program, Horizon Europe. At the moment I speak, I would have loved to explain you all the objective, the challenge we will address, but it's still in the political process. It's just a question of a few days. But the final green light is not done yet. But of course, there are a lot of things that are already ready, prepared in terms of objectives and so on. And again, I can say that aquatic feedstock remain as a key element there. So blue bioeconomy remains a key objective. And I will be very happy in the coming weeks to share more with you about that once the information will be public. Thank you very much. Back to you, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Philip, for your talk. Actually, the development of bio-based industries without BBI cannot be even imagined, and we all keep our fingers crossed for the continuation of the initiative. And of course, it's obvious that things are moving fast, not only in bio-based industries in general, but also in blue bioeconomy. So the next talk that is by myself is about the BBI JU initiative on blue bioeconomy. So I will walk you through what has happened with the projects, how the beneficiaries are spread across Europe, and how BBI really has supported the development of the sector and how it will continue to do so. So Philip mentioned about the strategic innovation and research agenda of 2017. That's actually the update of the original one when BBI started in 2013. There are key differences there. And the main one is that in 2017, finally aquatic-based sources are specifically mentioned, which means now that the framework is there, and actually there is dedicated budget for projects to use aquatic resources. The indicative funding was in the CIRA 35.8 million euros, which corresponds approximately to 5% of the public funding. Now, this, of course, doesn't sound a lot, but one should compare it with the other parts of the sector, like agri-based, forestry biomass, which have developed much more in the previous years. So one should always keep in mind that blue bioeconomy is an emerging sector. Nevertheless, the actual funding given to blue bioeconomy projects is already more than 40 million, and there is also a call that finishes actually today, and good luck to everyone participating in it, and will exceed 50 million or even 60 million for Horizon 2020. So despite the prediction, there is strong push from the industry to have more projects and more developments in the sector. And actually the targets are very clear in the CIRA. There must be technological developments in terms of novel reactors, new designs and optimal operations, but at the same time, we must valorate better the value chains, meaning they must be more competitive, more secure for the primary producers, which actually are very spread from fishermen to small algal ponds, etc. Important there is consumer awareness, and many projects work on that very actively. It's not that easy to imagine that cosmetics that we put on our face come from residues of fish, or that we can eat on everyday breakfast or our desserts algae. So first of all, one should spread the idea that this is a good source of nutrition, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and support the public awareness and consumption. There is huge potential in the sector, as I mentioned, and there are largely untapped resources. As Jean-Paul will mention later in his presentation, there are hundreds of thousands of species of algae only, and one does not include even crustaceans, fisheries, and shellfish in this estimation. Another very important thing is that there is no competition with land usage or food. And this is very important because it left a stain in the first bio-based industries initiative. Actually, another important element here is for Europe, that it's a very critical sector for development because Europe is surrounded by seas. We have very long and unexploited coasts, but at the same time, production can happen inland. So there are many coastal areas that can be revitalized and jobs created. I wanted also to mention that for the applicants, there is a flagship topic. This is the highest technology readiness level, very close to the markets, that is in the call 2020. As I said, the deadline is today, and for all the BBI enthusiasts and applicants, my sincere good luck. This is the portfolio, a map of the portfolio of the BBI JU beneficiaries, not in aquatic biomass, but actually in all projects. You can see now with red, we are in the last call, and BBI has already given 700 million of public funding, reaching almost 1,000 beneficiaries, in practically all countries of Europe and beyond, with 123 funded projects already and 11 flagships. The BBI has boosted the development and the showcase of large-scale biorefineries in Europe. Now, apart from the pretty map that shows the beneficiaries distribution in Europe, we have actually the project portfolio. And you can see here it is distributed in different, horizontally, in different sources of feedstock, primary sources of feedstock, and also in different types of action in Horizon 2020, starting from research actions to demonstration actions and flagship projects. So as we move from left to right, the technology and the readiness to the market is more mature. And we see here clearly that the aquatic biomass, which is in red frame, has mainly research actions, which means that there is still at the first stages of development, but at the same time, slowly the table has started populating here with projects like Spiral G, the first demo, and Multistream that Tiago will talk later about it. Apart from these projects that they use aquatic biomass, there are also other projects like Ale Hope and also NewPack that also have part of their biomass resource from blue sources. Soon we also hope, the Blue Bioeconomy enthusiasts, that there will be a flagship here and the full chain will be completed. And this is what the beneficiaries distribution in the aquatic biomass projects look like. Also, you see here there is very strong concentration at the coast of Europe and also in countries that traditionally they are not strong innovators, although in the latest years they exhibit very strong potential. So the coast can be revitalized through bioeconomy initiatives. And we see also that the figure of initially predicted 35 million has already reached almost 49. And if we consider that the flagship has good potential to be funded, then it will exceed and will 60 million euros. And very important aspect here is how many unique beneficiaries are in the projects, which means that they are not the same beneficiaries participating in different projects again and again. And this is quite important because this large number of unique beneficiaries also shows the fragmentation of the sector, but at the same time, very strong potential for new collaborations, for actually exploiting the sector in different sides of Europe. For the moment, there are already 11 projects, and I just remind you, when we were writing this abstract that you can see online, there were only 8 projects. So certainly the sector is moving fast and it has very good momentum. These are the projects that they vary from aquaculture, fisheries residues for nutrition, and also from microalgae and microalgae. You see the main part of the projects deal with microalgae, and also most of them are actually here. They have been from the very beginning of BBI. Now, there are certain challenges that I talked about, and BBI projects actually deliver results. And when we are talking about one of the main challenges is production in large quantities, so not just lab scale experiments or findings, but going to the market. This is how we, through the project, support the researchers come in contact with large biomass producers and large enterprises. The market may still be small because of the consumer awareness, the regulations, etc. But also there can be strong expansion to food and feed, exploiting the cascade effects and the cascading effects, and actually exploiting all the compounds from the aquatic biomass sources. There can be cosmetics, biomaterials, pharmaceuticals. So there can be a very large portfolio of different products to be produced. Many claim also that they are immature technologies or they are not specifically designed for the scope. There are different species of microalgae, for example, but at the same time, there can be innovative cultivation and harvesting processes that they can boost the sector. The costs, of course, they are still high, but actually they follow a good trend, and with all the innovation and interdisciplinary approaches, the costs can be reduced and actually they can be commercially viable. Is there restriction to high value products such as cosmetics? This is true, but at the same time, the rate of growth of algae is very high. They can double, quadruple their biomass per day compared to other biological resources. So, and if nothing is wasted, we can have really good valorization of the initial biomass. The consumer awareness, as I mentioned, is a big issue, but at the same time, new value chains can be produced with new ingredients, and if we promote sustainable products for health and fitness, then can be adopted much easier from the consumers. There can be also logistical issues with the transfer of biomass and many others, but longer and efficient storage of side stream of fisheries, for example, is one of the issues tackled through the projects of BBI. There are many initiatives and actions that we have taken. I just put some tweets here from the projects. We co-organized events, and we also participated last year in the Bloeconomy report of the European Commission as an emerging sector. So there are many things going on, and the projects are actually collaborating at very high level and produce common publications, organize events and conferences. In the BBI JU projects day, we ask what are the main unforeseen risks in the projects from the participants there. And you see here the cloud of words from smell to logistics to need for new partners to biomass availability. So these are things that we are going to discuss also today in the roundtable discussion. What happens after the end of the project? So what happens when the research finishes? There are many ways to move forward. New funding, apply for a demo project or a flagship project, organize spin-offs. So all these elements are discussed in our communication with the projects, and we take feedback to improve the process as much as possible. But still, you see that the main gap that the European and specifically the BBI JU funding is covering for the moment is technological. So there are many things also in the market and regulatory issues to be tackled. And as I always like to say, many things are about to happen. Blue Bioeconomy, I strongly believe that it's the next big thing. And also in terms of sustainability, blue is the new green. We should not associate green only with the color of sustainability, but blue is also supporting the planet. We live in a blue planet, and thus we have to make sure we keep our oceans healthy and we make the best out of them. Thank you very much. We will take now a few questions from the audience. Luisa, do we have? Can we start?
Yes, we can start. We have no questions so far.
So I will kick off with an easy question for Philippe. BBI is participating in ESOF actually with more than one sessions. What are those, Philippe?
So we participate in ESOF in 4 sessions. This morning it was a session dedicated to municipal waste and specific issues, because we all know that there is huge potential in valorizing municipal waste, but very big challenge. And as compared to the blue economy, not only technological challenge, can tell you that the regulation challenge and the acceptability challenge are huge. Yesterday, we also participated in 2 other sessions. The first in the morning was a session with a lot of speakers, which tried to cover all the different type of actors of the bioeconomy. So policymakers, academia, research center, clusters, companies, universities. And the idea was to know what can be done more to make the bioeconomy more visible and closer to consumer. In the afternoon, it was a bit the same idea, but with a totally different profile of speakers, because there we had a really top people, really opinion leaders of the sector, with two directors, the Commission, a director from DG Agri, John Bell from DG RTD, a CTO, Marcel Woubold, who was the first chairman of BIC and was CTO of the year when he was working for DSM, so a large company, well known. The CEO of Novamont was also in the discussion, so Katia Bastioli and a few others. And there it was more strategic debate about where are we so far and what are the remaining gaps and what is the vision for the future and how to transform this vision into a reality. So voilà, very good discussion, very busy for the time being. And again, thank you very much for BBI colleagues, for you as well, Thomas and others, to prepare all this. Just a pity that we cannot be all together in Trieste, because of course we missed this part. But okay, it will be for next year.
So before we move actually to the chat box again, I want at this stage to introduce Mentimeter. If you have a smartphone, I hope you all do at this stage. You can respond to our questions. You must see now the slide. The questions that we receive are live. So if you go to menti.com and use your code, you can answer these questions. So please, the participants, describe which sector do you come from, just to have an idea from where you contact us. Also, I want to quickly ask Philippe another question. We saw this evolution of projects from research and innovation actions to demonstration actions and to flagship actions. We see before actually moving further that moving to flagship, for example, in high technology readiness levels, that there are many projects coming to demo. We see, however, from aquatic resources that there is a stretch towards achieving within Horizon 2020 by 2020 call a flagship. Do you think the sector is mature to support a project at such a high scale at the moment?
Yes, for sure. And I cannot speak only for me, but also from the sector. If this area is in the CIRA, it is because there is a potential in industrial and commercial deployment. Let's not forget that it is not completely new. It's years and years that we produce at industrial scale polysaccharide extracted from algae or chitin or EPA, DHA, so omega-3 fatty acid and oil from fish, and processes that were developed more than 20 years ago. I think what was important is indeed, as you say, the maturity of the sector, the maturity of the technology. But what was very important is that the actor of the sector to join the initiative and to join BIC, so that this is a priority in the CIRA. And then there are topics that are developed and put in the annual work program. Let's never forget that to have a topic for a demo or a FLAC, you need to have an interest from the sector. It doesn't come naturally. So yes, we think the sector is mature. Of course, there are areas of the bio-based industry which are much more deployed already, with multinational companies already active. But you know, when you see some countries like Norway or Iceland, how extremely active, and sorry for the others, they're also very, very active. Yes, it is really a mature industry. And we have a topic text for FLAG, as you said already. And for sure, for the future, and the CBE, Circular Bio-Based Europe, they will have other topic text for demo and FLAG, which is really the end objective of this kind of initiative.
Thank you very much, Philippe. This is really reassuring. I see now from the answers in the Mentimeter, please don't be shy and respond where you come from. I see that there is a lot of, the majority comes from policy, governance and institutions, which is probably the right place also to advertise the achievements of BBI JU and also how Blue Bioeconomy should be an integral part of future policies. Research and development, of course, as always, we are in a science conference, is strongly present. and also others and some participants from university and the education sector. We will move now to the speech of Jean-Paul Cadoret. Because of some technical issues, the speech is recorded. So just a few seconds to share it with you. Thank you. So we had a technical issue with the presentation of Jean-Paul. So I will take again the pulse of the audience, and I will ask you again what excites you about Blue Bioeconomy. You can write a free text, and any sort of response is really interesting and accessible and acceptable from microalgae or potential of cosmetics or even new foods. So please use the code, and by logging into the menti.com, use the code and give your response. Luisa, do we have any questions from the chat box so far?
No, not so far, but maybe just a word of encouragement to all participants to write to the chat. So we heard a couple of very interesting interventions to begin with. So don't be shy. We really look forward to hear your views, to hear your stories, and to exchange with you. So we'll wait.
Thank you, Luisa. I see here responses like because blue is green. I hope this is not a Daltonism side problem, but actually a strong support from the sector. It's clean with huge potential. Certainly, it's one of the ways to achieve sustainability. And actually, for now, not much have been done. Indeed, a new response is about circularity, and no doubt also about this. Bio-based industries also come hand in hand with circular approaches. The Green Deal is also blue. Indeed, Zoe will talk about it also in her presentation, how EU policies contribute to it. And the European Green Deal is certainly one program that fits there very well. Sustainability, potential for new jobs in coastal areas. Something to mention there is, of course, many of the panelists actually come from coastal areas in this session. And we all know that sustainable development and long-term development can not only be through tourism. Therefore, innovative jobs and proper exploration, not exploitation of the available sources, it's certainly the way forward. The perspective for development that can actually be beneficial for the social ecological systems. This is very true. And these developments should be based on knowledge and sustainability, absolutely. Possibility to grow algae very sustainably. Of course, for the moment, there are still hurdles regarding the energy needed, the space needed, but projects are working on it and they will deliver, and they continue to deliver actually results and novel solutions. Now we will move to our next speaker. So I will stop sharing my screen. The next speaker is Zoe. So Zoe, you can share your presentation when ready. And as I said, Zoe works in DG Mare. She's a former researcher. She has worked on the integrated coastal zone management, and she can offer a policy side of view. As you can see already from our speakers, we cover from societal needs to policies, and from policies to actual results through projects, research and innovation, and actually commercialization through the participation in companies. So Zoe, when you are ready, the floor is yours.
Hello, sorry for this. Good afternoon. Thank you, Thomas, for the introduction. I'm Zoe Constantino. I work in DG Mare in the unit for maritime innovation, knowledge, and investment. And I will provide some inputs from the point of view of DG Mare regarding Blue Bioeconomy from the whole of my directorate that works in issues of maritime policy and blue economy. As Thomas said in his introduction, I will speak a little bit about the connection of Green Deal with the Blue Bioeconomy. From our point of view in the Commission, the Blue Bioeconomy is expected to contribute in multiple different aspects of the Green Deal as it's designed at the moment. Of course, the most important one is related to the farm to fork strategy that aims to alter to help in the making food in the European Union more sustainable, more healthy, and invites the possibility to use new kinds of protein. And in this, the Blue Bioeconomy has a very important role to play. And of course, in other sectors, as the clean, affordable, and secure energy through biofuel mainly, through circular economy, zero pollution and toxic-free environment, because this is a very important part of what the Blue Bioeconomy can offer back. And of course, in preserving and restoring ecosystems and biodiversity, and in the ambition of the European Union to increase its climate ambition for 2030. It is quite important to mention that Blue Bioeconomy has a very important role to play in what we call societal transitions. The Green Deal is here to change the way that we view development, the way that we view our relationship with the environment. It brings back in the center of the discussion the need of our activities and our actions to be in line with our environment. And this requires a very important and difficult transition because we have to be honest, we are not living like this right now. And the Green Deal is an opportunity to make this change, to transform our societies. The Blue Bioeconomy, the way that it starts to develop already, because there are some of the sectors are already developed, but also what we perceive as potential in the Blue Bioeconomy will be a major pillar of this, because some parts of the Blue Bioeconomy, they're already well integrated into this concept of transitions. They already call for more sustainable production practices. And we have to keep this in mind, and we have to learn from our past and in general about our practices until now and bring this experience in order to make this sector even more sustainable with a potential that it's not only economic, but has also an environmental and a social aspect in it. The European Commission has been supporting the Blue Bioeconomy with multiple ways until now, even before the Green Deal. And of course, this comes a lot also from, it's not only from DG Mare, but also from other directorates. So of course, some actions that are supporting Blue Bioeconomy projects until now is the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund. Fisheries, sustainable fisheries and sustainable aquaculture are a major part of Blue Bioeconomy and should be supported in a manner that will allow their development towards more sustainable practices and more environmental and health-friendly practices. And of course, there are multiple projects from Horizon 2020, but also from previous research and innovation frameworks that the Directorate General for Research and Innovation has been supporting. A wide variety of these projects has been related with algae, but not only. So there are multiple projects also in aquaculture and in sustainable fisheries, and in the bioeconomy as a whole. And of course, there are efforts in the European Structural Investment Funds from multiple others directorates that come together to paint a picture of how important is this aspect, not only locally and regionally, but for the Union as a total. Of course, one of the most important efforts in the last years was the Blue Bioeconomy Forum, which I will speak a little bit more analytical in the next slides, which brought together a lot of stakeholders in the Blue Bioeconomy and made a very thorough analysis of the challenges and the possible solutions to boost this potential that is there in the sector. Other actions include the novel food regulation. The novel food regulation is a controversial aspect of discussion, but it's a very essential legislation piece of the European Commission, and it's related with safety. So it is tricky to handle from the point of view of the industry, but it's also very necessary. And of course, there are actions related to algae as the Standardization Committee for Algae and Algae Products, supported by DG Energy, and the biomass project that included guidelines for seaweed aquaculture from the Joint Research Center of the European Union. Last but not least, EMOTNET, the European Marine Observation and Data Network, supported by DG Mare, provides a lot of information, provides data and observation in multiple fields, and specifically for blue bioeconomy-related activities. EMOTNET doesn't support only by providing this kind of data, but also by providing a wide range of data that can help in the development of new activities in a sustainable and safe manner. So as I said, the Blue Bioeconomy Forum was a big effort coming from DG Mare to bring together the sector's stakeholders in order to identify challenges and to identify potential solutions on these challenges. The forum provided advice in 4 different categories: in policy, environment and regulation, finance and business development, in consumers and value chains, and science and technology innovation. You can find online multiple information about the Blue Bioeconomy Forum, including the roadmap. The roadmap of the Blue Bioeconomy Forum came into some very interesting results. One of them was that, of course, one of the most promising sectors of the sector of the Blue Bioeconomy is related to algae. And of course, multiple other advice that at the moment DG Mare is working on in order to move forward. Regarding the algae sector, we have already started growing initiatives to support in collaboration also and discussion with the industry. I will not go into many details regarding the results of the work of the Blue Bioeconomy Forum. I wanted to mention that the challenges that have been identified have multiple parameters connected with them. Some of them parameters are up to the services of the Commission, but also to national and regional authorities to help mainstream and support. And others, of course, have to do with further changes in how we view the products of Blue Bioeconomy. Thomas, in his presentation, mentioned some issues about this, but it's quite important that we create the conditions for new experimentation in the way that we see these products. Understand the necessity of including Blue Bioeconomy products in an everyday diet, in an everyday life, and understand also the delicate balance that is now created between land use and marine use, and how the marine environment can provide the necessary resources that we cannot anymore claim from land areas. This is connected with energy and biofuels. This is connected with food. It has multiple aspects in it. To be a little bit more specific in aspects of research and technology, as I said already, there have been multiple projects funded through research and innovation initiatives of the Commission, and now we are approaching in the opening of Horizon Europe, and Horizon Europe identifies the Blue Bioeconomy in multiple of its different pillars and clusters. The one more relevant to this is Cluster 6, that is related with food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and the environment. And of course, with biodiversity and natural capital, seas and oceans, food systems, and bio-based innovation, circular systems. The focus of Horizon Europe is going to be multiple, and there is a renewed interest for what the oceans provide until now, and what can provide further, and how we need to treat these provisions in order to sustain them and to take advantage of them in the most careful and an efficient manner. So in Horizon Europe, we also have the mission for healthy oceans, which have multiple actions that are going to support the Blue Bioeconomy by transforming fisheries into wild fisheries in more sustainable form by expanding aquaculture from what we mainly consume now to lower trophic level species that will enrich our diet, but at the same time will have fewer emissions. They will have lesser impact to the environment, and they can help us maintain a good environmental status for our seas, as this happens, for instance, through the cultivation of seaweed. And there are also other clusters that relate with the blue bioeconomy that are related to climate and biofuel, and of course with health and living in a healthy environment part, but also making healthier choices in terms of diet, in terms of products and the way we use them and utilize them. We shouldn't forget that very soon the Green Deal call that is under Horizon 2020, under the old research and innovation product, is going to come out, and it also supports blue bioeconomy actions through the call that is going to be focused on the farm to fork strategy, but also, as I said before, to the other pillars of the Green Deal that blue bioeconomy can play a specific part. What else do we do in the Commission in order to support blue bioeconomy? As I already said, DG Mare has undertaken the responsibility to coordinate actions in the Commission regarding the algae sector. There are multiple things that are happening in terms of funding opportunities, in terms of studies that are taking place, in terms of market development and consumer opinion studies that we're going to undertake possibly in the next years in order to see how we can better help the sector develop. We invite, of course, a discussion with our stakeholders for this, and we try to move into approaches that are as transdisciplinary as possible to manage to develop sustainable and long-term perspectives for the stressed sector. And of course, another aspect of the work is the work in generic in aquaculture, and DG Mare is working specifically in the update of the aquaculture guidelines for the European Union in order to allow for the sustainability of the sector to grow in the next decades.
Zoe, if I may slowly interrupt, because
yes,
we are a bit behind schedule.
I'm almost finishing.
Okay, we have 1 minute. We'll skip the questions and have the questions together with Tiago then.
Okay, so I'm not going to say anything more about algae because you have covered it already. I'm going to speak about the blue economy. So in the Blue Economy report of the European Commission that you can also find online, what is recognized is that the algae sector is generating a turnover of over 350 million euros annually, which is very important. Of course, we have also aquaculture in general play in the established sector a very important role in the European Union in terms of employment, because it covers approximately 11% of the people employed in the blue economy in the European Union, and this is very important and needs to be increased and supported. And as a final note, DG Mare has launched Blue Invest. That is an opportunity for businesses that have ideas, business-ready ideas, to be funded or to be further coached in order to receive funding in the future. And it can be an opportunity and inspiration for people that are working in the different aspects of the blue bioeconomy. Thank you. And those are our contacts.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Indeed, the participation from DG Mare is essential to bring all the programs together. I'm sure we will have more time to discuss in the roundtable discussion. I will quickly pass the floor to Tiago now for his presentation. And please to remind you all to send your questions through the chat box that Luisa is managing. And also that there is another Mentimeter question. If you have used the same code, you will see it. It's about the great challenges of the Blue Bioeconomy in order to discuss it in the roundtable discussion. So please, Tiago, when you are ready with your presentation, please project it.
Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Thomas, for the invitation to speak. So I'm talking mostly about the project, the BBI project that we have, that FRF has been developing and is the coordinator. My name is Tiago Guerra. I'm the R&D Executive Officer of FRF Algae for Future. FRF is a company that is a technology provider that designs, builds, operates, and transfers microalgae industrial facilities to its clients. So we're not, FRF is not really a biomass producer. It's more a technology provider for enabling primary producers to start producing biomass and microalgae as well. So we cover most of the, of the value chain of microalgae, from applied R&D, and then we can do some contract R&D and supply technology, as I said, and then implement industrial production facilities for micro and macroalgae. On our applied R&D is where we develop our systems and develop our reactors and the technologies. We have been very active both on national level and European level in terms of climbing the TRL scale and starting with low TRL proof of concept projects, and then into demonstration projects, which we are now. And then, and our goal on those projects is to develop business cases that we can then exploit and turn into industrial production and to industrial operation. So along the years, we have mostly been dedicated to microalgae. We have now about 20 or so microalgae strains that we have produced either industrially or at the demo scale. We mostly do that either in our laboratories, where we do develop our R&D, but also on our pilot unit, which is located in Lisbon, and where we have an environment of a lot of flexibility with reactors and systems that we can try and improve on. We, as a technology provider, we do not have our single unit technology. We like to say that we are technology agnostic, and we can develop all kinds of units that are most suitable for the client's needs. So from tubular PBRs to flat panels, raceways and open raceways, and then closed fermenters as well. And as you can see here, these are our main flagship programs in terms of industrialization. The first one was our first. The one on the left that you see on the bottom is Alga Farm, was our very first project. It was at the time the largest tubular reactor unit in the world. Through the BioFat project, still in the FP7 program, we developed our first industrial scale cascade raceways. And we are currently developing at Algatech our unit for a client, a 14-hectare unit for production of biomass, of microalgae biomass. Most recently, we traditionally are a microalgae supplier, but we are going into macroalgae as well. And we've just recently started a new project, which is called Biofabrica in the north of Portugal, in the center of Portugal, where the idea is to develop the unit to produce a brown algae. Oh, my bad. So this is, I was seeing on the wrong. So you can see here, so our applied R&D on top, the microalgae units, then the contract technology and the tubular and the several reactors that we can have, and then our industrial production units at Alga Farm, BioFat, the Algatech, and then Biofabrica, the latest unit about macroalgae on the bottom. Most recently, we've also had a new project through BBI, which has been funded. It's from last call, from 2019 call. It's a demonstrator project with a total investment of 9 million euros, from which 6.5 have been funded through BBI. It will last for 48 months, and it involves 5 companies, from which one technology provider, which is A4F, one biomass producer, which is FICOM, 3 final users and raw material providers, which are 3 large enterprises that you might have heard of, Upfields, which was the former margarine division from Unilever, 4Farmers, that is the largest farming production and feed producer in Europe, and International Fragrances and Flavors, which is also a very large company in terms of cosmetics. And then there are 3 research institutes, IBET, the National Laboratory of Energy and Geology, and Algatech, and Center Algatech in the Czech Republic. So the project objectives is to demonstrate the valorization of microalgae biomass through a concept of a multi-biorefinery, which means that it's a refinery that can receive multiple feedstocks, multiple algae strains, and then produce from those feedstocks altogether different end products and fractions for different applications. Our main goals is to improve biomass productivity by at least 20% through non-GMO improvement of strains, improve circularity and utilization of waste streams from the large companies, and improve logistics of transport and stabilization of sensitive compounds. The second main objective is to reduce capital and operational costs. As Thomas just said in the beginning, capital costs and or overall costs of biomass production, of algae production, are still high, and it's something that we need to deal with and to drop and to decrease through economies of scale and through industrialization of the processes. And that only happens if there is ways to de-risk investment to the stakeholders in which we're involved in. So our goal is to reduce 15% on capex and opex of microalgae cultivation, decrease costs also through a refinery and integration of a multi-biorefinery, and then improve cost efficiency by 20 to 50%, depending on the strains and how efficient this model becomes. And then again, to demonstrate finally the 7 consumer products of applications in food, feed, and fragrances, 6 of which are completely brand new products to the industries, to the final industries. Very quickly, this is we have 3 main work packages, which are strain validation, biomass refining, and product demonstration and validation, and then are complemented with market analysis, the LCAs and the TEAs for proof of the business models, which is what we want to extract out of these projects, so that we can then exploit this into an industrial setting.
Tiago, sorry if I may, I think we got a very good overview of multi-stream already. We have some questions pending from the audience. I think it's better to go to the questions. Thank you very much. It's a very interesting project. Actually, the largest project running now from BBI in aquatic biomass. So we are all expecting very exciting results. Let's go now to some questions from the audience. Actually, the question comes from you, that people know that you already participate, as we discussed at the beginning, in many BBI projects, from Abacus to now multi-stream demo. The question is if you see actually the advancement from RIA to even flagship in the future happening also in research and at commercial level.
Yes. So ourselves, we have exactly been doing that. So we at the beginning we did start with lower level and RIAs or RIAs, which are lower level technologies, proof of concepts, and our model in terms of research is always to bring and to climb the TRL ladders and then prove some concepts, then move into the demo scale, and then come into the flagship scale. And we've been, the BBI has been quite competitive, but we have been, I think we are in a position after multi-stream to really put a strong bid for a flagship on aquatic, on bioeconomy, on aquatic systems.
So certainly very positive message, Tiago. Thank you. What you see now being projected actually is the last Mentimeter question, which is the fuel, if I may, for our roundtable discussion. So what are the challenges in expanding the Blue Bioeconomy, ranging from all fine to a long way to go? You see there that what is winning so far is consumer awareness. It's not a surprise, but probably something that can relatively fixed in short time. So the discussion will be about the limitless opportunities and of the Blue Bioeconomy and what are we waiting for. So please, using Mentimeter or the chat box, suggest what you think the greatest challenge is, so we can discuss it with the speakers.
Thomas,
please
meanwhile, we did get a question, and we don't want to miss this opportunity, I guess. Several of you touched upon the regulatory hurdles and challenges of the algae sector. So someone is asking whether you could speak a little bit more, any of you, on this aspect. What are the regulatory challenges and hurdles of the algae sector?
I can certainly say from my experience in the project, projects that getting permits is quite difficult, or first passing the first rounds from the pharmaceutical controls, or even from the food sector. But Zoe, would you like to start responding to this question?
Yes, of course. It is a multi-level question. I would say from the industry, besides the licensing part, that is a little bit different depending on which member state you are. One very important aspect, it relates with the novel food regulation. It is quite difficult at the moment to bring a new product forward to the market, and this has been delaying the algae industry and the people especially that are working on creating new food products. This has been, the novel food regulation has been adopted almost 2 years ago, and it was done this way in order to increase safety for consumers, but at the same time it poses a great burden to the new companies, because it's quite expensive and quite time-consuming to bring a new product to the market. We are aware of this, and we have discussed about it with the industry quite thoroughly. It's something that we are working on resolving. Not resolving, but at least helping and supporting as much as possible. Another aspect of legislation probably has to do with recognition of products as of biological cultivation. I don't have a very thorough knowledge of the subject, but there is a lot of competition because there are difficulties in the European market compared to foreign markets. It's also a matter that we have under our radar and try to resolve.
Of course, there are many, apart from the innovation and research projects, there are other projects like CSA is working on it, and BBI has certainly a dozen of them working on how to resolve these issues. Another thing that I want to pass now the floor to Tiago with this question is actually we see one of the ways to move forward with regulatory issues is actually through creating roadmaps. The European roadmap on Blue Bioeconomy is available, but at the same time, Portugal has published the roadmap and on Blue Bioeconomy. And we see now Portugal actually entering the group of innovators in Europe, and it's one of the pioneering countries, if I may, in this sector. So the vision for 2030 is there for Portugal. I want to see your perspective as a Portuguese, but at the same time as an innovator in Portugal, if this has an impact in your daily work, and actually how can other countries follow the example of Portugal and boost Blue Bioeconomy?
Yeah, so in Portugal, it is true. Several roadmaps have been published. The bioeconomy, also the biorefinery roadmaps, and the strategic national plan has been put in put up by the government. So there has been quite a strategic, dedication to those themes, and quite a bit of also funding for initiatives for companies and for universities, and for collaborations or large national collaborations for laboratories to come together and to develop technologies relating to the oceans, but also to energy, to biomass in general. So there's a cluster forming, which is quite nice, and we A4F have been quite active into creating a network of partnerships and looking for funding to develop those goals and to develop those economies. And so I think so. We've started 3 or 4 projects in the last year or so, so those will last for the next 3 to 4 years as well. So and we're very hopeful that this could bring a significant improvement on the bioeconomy in Portugal and in Europe, of course.
Of course, having the framework and the support from the policy side of you is very important and facilitates innovation and commercialization. We see now in the Mentimeters again that in the Mentimeter question that still the market uptake is an issue, and also the industrial interest becomes relatively on top. Philippe, do you think that profitability can be increased in the upcoming years, and not, as we discussed at the beginning, not only for nutritional products, but also for high added value products?
Yes, for sure. Economy of scale and improvement of technologies and market share. I said already that there are applications using aquatic feedstock that are already extremely profitable since years and years. But at the beginning, it was very difficult. I remember when I was a young R&D engineer, microalgae reactor was a bit of theoretical things for the future. We see now it's a reality. So my answer definitely yes. But there is still, of course, a lot of effort. And when you make projection in possible economy of scale, yes, there is room for huge improvement.
Thank you very much. Again, very encouraging messages from someone that knows the sector very, very well. We are approaching the last 4 minutes of the session, actually. We can talk about it. We are all motivated to talk about for not 4 seconds, but for the next 4 years here. We will not keep you that long with us. But another important thing that should be also potentially discussed is not only the Blue Bioeconomy itself, but actually how it comes part of the integrated coastal zone management. I don't know if Zoe is still with us to comment on it, or we have some connection issues.
Yes, I am. I have a slight problem with my camera, but otherwise I'm here. It's very important. It's very related. There are many activities related to the Blue Bioeconomy that support coastal communities and support them in a very sustainable way. As you said at the beginning, I don't remember if it was you, if it's another speaker, it cannot all be tourism. We need to diversify, we need to provide opportunities, and we need to provide opportunities also to areas that tourism is not a choice, and activities of the Blue Bioeconomy as aquaculture, sustainable aquaculture, can provide a very important source of living for small communities. There are also communities that are traditionally dependent on these activities, and they face struggles that we need to address and support in a way that this livelihood becomes more profitable for them in multiple levels.
Yes, absolutely. I can also confirm.
And a last thing that I want to say, and that's very important, is that some of these activities can play a very big role in actually controlling and helping us maintain good environmental status. Yeah. And these synergies and these benefits need to be harvested and need to be turned into income and benefits for the local and coastal communities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zoe. Your research topic was integrated coastal zone management, and from my point of view, that I'm more on the coastal engineering aspects, I can also confirm that without Blue Bioeconomy and proper thinking and integrated thinking of the management of the coastal zone, we cannot fight climate change also. So it's a necessity, not just another economic sector that can develop. Climate adaptation, mitigation, as well as sustainable growth comes hand in hand in this case. And I think everyone is working on this, thinking the broad picture. And that's why this sector is important. Excuse me. So we are approaching the end. I would like to thank, first of all the speakers and all the participants that they were here with us today. And also those that we received multiple messages, multiple personal messages for those that they couldn't attend. And hopefully the next session will be live, and we are all approachable in our work. So don't hesitate to contact us, the speakers, and advertise Blue Bioeconomy. It's the future. It's not only the new El Dorado, but it's the way forward for our planet and the economy in Europe. Thank you all. And see you at the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you for the organization. Bye.